Assalamualaikum and a very good day to our respected lecturer, Prof.Dr. HAIRUDDIN bin Muhammad Ali, and to all members on the floor. Today, our group will be presenting on Chapter 10 entitled Shared Decision Making, Empowering Teachers. Our group members consist of 5 members including myself. The first presenter will be me, Ayun Syahira binti Syaharuddin. The second presenter will be Salha binti Muhammad Yatim. The third presenter will be Rafiza binti Ahmad. The fourth presenter will be Shazlina binti Othman. And the last presenter will be Nur Hashima binti Cetlah. These are the overall contents of our presentation. As you can see, there are 9 subtopics that we will cover throughout our presentation. Now, let's move to the objective of this presentation. By the end of this presentation, we should be able to explain the VRU model of shared decision making. We should be able to identify the quality and acceptance of decisions, to critically constrain on decision making and decision making style, to understand the effectiveness of involving teachers in decision making. We should be able to understand the whole Tata model, simplified models of shared decision making, and the last one, to relate shared decision making with Islamic perspective. So, for my part, I will be the first presenter and I will explain about the VRU model of shared decision making. We will look into the subtopic of enhancing the quality and acceptance of decision. Before we start, let's look into the definition of shared decision making and also empowering teachers. What is shared decision making? According to Cassier, 1992, shared decision-making is a process that provides an opportunity for members of a school community to collaborate in solving problems, defining a course of action, and shaping direction for the individual school. In simple words, it is an organizational strategy that involves the participation of teachers, parents, community, other members of a school staff, and administration in the decision-making process. As an example, the principal conduct a meeting with teachers to ask opinion or idea about school program for next year. Next, what is empowering teachers? Empowering teachers involve investing teachers with the right to participate in the determination of school goals and policies. According to Klecker and Lotman 1996, it is opportunity a person has for autonomy, responsibilities, choice, and authority. For example, when teachers participate in decision-making in school, it will give good impact and empower them in many ways. It also refers to teachers' perception that they have an effect and influence on school life. This also will enhance teachers' self-esteem while creating the feeling that they are doing it in a competent manner. This topic also covers 2 models of shared decision-making, which are: the first model is the VRU model of shared decision-making, and the second model is the Tata model, a simplified model of shared decision-making. The critical question is, under what condition should subordinates be involved in decision-making? Thus, these 2 models of shared decision-making are useful in addressing this question. Both models are designed to empower teachers to enhance acceptance of decision and to improve the quality of decision. From this slide, we can see 2 pictures of different situations. The question is, in shared decision, it's not easy to come up with one agreement. Here, the leader must play a major role in order to come up with a quality decision. VRU model of shared decision-making. Victor Vroom and his colleague Vroom and Yatten, 1973, Vroom and Jago, 1988, proposed a model of shared decision-making that develops two sets of rules from the extant empirical evidence. The Vroom model is designed to help you to identify the best decision-making approach and leadership style based on your current situation. It was originally developed by Victor Vroom and Philip Yatten in their 1973 books, Leadership and Decision-Making. In its latest version, Vroom and Jago, 1988, identify a set of problem properties that should influence subordinate participation in decision-making in a variety of situations. These properties are defined by a set of decision rules and their operational questions. The first one is enhancing the quality and acceptance of decision. Based on their research, they posit 4 rules to enhance the quality of decision. The first rule is quality rule. Here, the leader need to know how important is the decision towards an organization. The second rule is leader information rule. The question here, does the leader have expertise? It means that the quality of decision is important and you as a leader don't possess sufficient information and expertise to solve the problem alone. The third rule is trust rule. As a leader, you need to ask yourself, can you trust your subordinates? Last one is problem structure rule. The question here, is the problem clear and structured? Here, it involves knowledgeable subordinates to collect relevant information when the quality of the decision is important. The problem here is unstructured and you as a leader lack sufficient information or expertise. Next, we move to the acceptance of decision. It is important for subordinates to embrace and accept decisions. There are 4 rules to enhance the acceptance. The first one is the acceptance rule. The question here, is acceptance critical to implementation? The second one is the subordinate conflict rule. The leader need to ask, will the decision produce conflict? If there is a conflict among subordinates, acceptance of the decision is critical and an autocratic decision is unlikely to be accepted. The third one is subordinate commitment rule. The question here, is subordinate commitment important? And the last one is the subordinate information rule. The question here, do subordinates have expertise? It is important to make a decision for which they have insufficient information or expertise.
Assalamualaikum and very good day to everyone. Thank you, Miss Ayu. I'm Salha binti Muhammad Yatim. Now I'm going to continue our group presentation with the topic constraints on decision making. In addition to these rules for improving the quality of the acceptance of decisions, there are 2 strong constraints on decision making. The first one is the time constraint. Time is not free. The amount of time used in making a decision is a cost expressed in terms of the loss of attention to other activities. The second one is the development constraints. Decision making is a learned skill developed through practice. To empower teachers means to give them the skills and opportunities to make important decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move to another topic, which is decision-making styles. According to Vroom and Yatten, 1973 suggests 5 decision styles that can be arrayed along a continuum from autocratic to group participation. The first point is autocratic, where the leader using the existing information solves the problem unilaterally. The second point is informed autocratic, where the leader solves the problem unilaterally after obtaining necessary information from subordinates. The third point is individual consultative, where the leader shares the problem with subordinates, soliciting their ideas individually and makes a decision that may not reflect the influence of subordinates. The fourth point is group consultative, where the leader shares the problem with group members, solicits their ideas, and makes decisions with which may or may not reflect the influence of subordinates. And finally, group agreement, which if the leader shares the problem with subordinates as a group and together generates and evaluates alternatives in an attempt to reach consensus. This is a group decision in which the leader is willing to accept the decision of the group.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Rafiza. My topic is decision making tree, meaning a decision is a critical session of possible solution to a session based on certain condition. The session tree is full of chart like diagram that show the various outcome from a series of sessions. A primary advantage for using a session tree is that it's easy to follow and understand. The tree simply the part for involved teacher in session and define role of the principal and teacher, created by Hunt and Howland in 1950. Slide number 2, session making tree can be drawn by hand or created via a graphic program. Informally, the session tree consists of 5 types of nodes. Number 1, a board is used to show a choice that the manager has to make. Number 2, the circle is used to show that a probability outcome will occur. Number 3, line connect outcome to their choice of probability outcome. Number 4, reject show the choice that was not selected. Number 5, terminal node differentiated by triangle. There are two main types of session tree. Number 1, category variable session tree, example yes or no. Number 2, continuous variable session tree, example the income on individual whose income is unknown can be predicted based on available information such as their application age. For the slide number 3, how to draw session making tree. Firstly, start as make a session on need to make. Draw a small square to present toward the left, and then from this board draw outline, and then at the end of its line consider the result. If the result is another session that need to make, draw another square, write the session or factor above the square or circle, and keep doing to until have draw out hash money of the possible outcome and session has can see leading on from the general section. Okay, see for the charts, purchase of ABM that by his master and give suggestion from teacher. Have a 2 allocation money and other 1 teacher own their money. There is yes have a preservation and no preservation. Yes for use money pretty and no paperwork. So use pretty cash to buy ABM. For the teacher own money, dia yes no personal money and no use private money. Next, for the last slide, number 4, some question. The Bloom model is powerful tool that guide shaper is submission in decision making. The answer to each question has been dichotomized to make the model usable without a computer. What is the need a useful model they can readily use rather than store on computer or in that card? Conclusion in mind, return a simply model of shared decision making. Leader can keep in their head as their graph with the problem of practice.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shazlina binti Uthman. I'm going to continue with my subtopic, the HAIRUDDIN model, a simplified model of shared decision making. First, we look at the research. The research on teacher participation in decision-making has generally supported the desirability of empowering teachers in the process. But that research also suggests that participation is not always advantageous. The effectiveness of teacher participation depends on the problem and situation. Therefore, a careful examination of the theory and research on participation in decision-making in educational organization has conducted, and the research revealed first, the opportunity to share in formulating policies is an important factor in the moral of teachers and in their enthusiasm for the school. Second, participation in decision making is positively related to the individual teacher's satisfaction with the profession of teaching. Third, teachers prefer principals who involve them in decision making. 4. Decisions fail because of poor quality or because subordinates do not accept them. Number 5. Teachers neither expect nor want to be involved in every decision. In fact, too much involvement can be as detrimental as too little. 6. The roles and function of both teachers and administrators in decision making need to be varied according to the nature of the problem. So you can look here. The emphasis is not should teachers be involved in decision, but under what conditions should teachers be involved in decision? To what extent should teachers be involved? How should teachers be involved? And what is the administrator's role in the process? The answer is Vroom has proposed one answer to all those questions. A simplified model of participation, one that educational administrators can easily master, remember, and use readily to guide their practice. Okay, next slide. Zones of acceptance, its significance and determination. Subordinates accept some decision without question because they are indifferent to them. Barnum, 1988, explained there is zone of indifference in each individual within which others accept us without conscious questioning of their authority. Simon, 1947, prefers the more positive term of zone acceptance. The subordinate zone of acceptance is critical in deciding under what condition to involve or not involve subordinate in the decision making. Barnum, 1988, Simon, 1947, and Chase, 1951, Edwin M. Bridges, 1967, advances two propositions about shared decision making. The first one, as subordinates are involved in making decisions located within their zone of acceptance, participation will be less effective. But as subordinates are involved in making decisions located outside their zone of acceptance, participation will be more effective. However, there is a problem for the administrator to determine which decisions fall inside and which outside the zone. So, Edwin M. Bridges, 1967, suggests two tests to answer this question. First is the test of relevance. Do the subordinates have a personal stake in the decision outcomes? The second one, the test of expertise. Do subordinates have the expertise to make a useful contribution to the decision? Okay, you can refer to table 1. Okay, when subordinates have both expertise and a personal stake in the outcomes, then the decisions is clearly outside their zone of acceptance. But if subordinates have neither expertise nor a personal stake, then the decision is inside the zone. However, there are two marginal conditions, each with different decisional constraints. When subordinates have expertise but no personal stakes, or have a personal stake but no particular expertise, so the conditions are more problematic. Therefore, Hoy and Dr. 1995 proposed two additional theoretical propositions for guidance. As subordinates are involved in making decisions for which they have marginal expertise, their participation will be marginally effective. As subordinates are involved in making decisions for which they have marginal interest, their participation will be marginally effective. One more consideration that is useful if we are to be successful in applying the model to actual problem is trust and situation. Trust of subordinates should sometimes moderate their degree of involvement. When subordinates' personal goals conflict with organization one, so it is advised to delegate decisions to them because of the high risk that decision will be made on personal basis. the expenses of the overall welfare of the school. Thus, subordinate trust is important. So you can look here, another consideration, the test of trust. Are subordinates committed to the mission of the organization, and can they be trusted to make decisions in the best interest of the organization? Okay, for the next slides, we will look at the 5 decision-making situation. We have democratic situation, conflictual situation, non-collaborative situation, stakeholder situation, and expert situation. You can refer to table 2. Alright, if the decision is outside the zone of acceptance and if subordinate can be trusted to make decision in the best interest of the organization, but the only issue is whether the decision should be made by consensus or majority rule. So here we call it democratic situation. If the situation is outside the zone and there is little trust in the subordinate, then we have a conflictual situation and participation should be restricted. Okay, this is conflictual situation. If the decision issue is not relevant to subordinate and they have no expertise, however, then the decision clearly falls within their zone of acceptance and involvement should be avoided. Okay, this one is non-collaborative situation. Stakeholder situation is where subordinates have a personal stake in the issue but little expertise. Subordinate participation should be limited and only occasional. Expert situation is where subordinates have no personal stake in the outcomes but they do have the knowledge to make a useful contribution. Okay, that is called expert situation. Okay, next, once the administrator has determined that subordinate should be involved in deciding or not, the next question becomes how the process should proceed. Okay, Hoy and Tarter 2003 suggests 5 decision making. Okay, we can see here. Okay, we have group consensus, group majority, group advisory, individual advisory, and unilateral decision. Okay, in group consensus, here the administrator involves participant in the decision making, and then the group will decide. All group members share equally as they generate and evaluate the decision, but total consensus is required before a decision can be made. Group majority is where the administrators involve participants in the decision making and then the group decide by majority rule. For group advisory, the administrator solicits the opinions of the entire group, discusses the implication of group suggestion, and then they make a decision that may or may not reflect subordinate desires. For individual advisory, the administrator consult with subordinates individually who have the expertise to inform the decision, and then they make a decision that may or may not reflect their opinions. Unilateral decision, the administrator make the decision without consulting or involving subordinate in the decision. Okay, now we look at 5 leadership roles, administrative roles for shared decision making. Okay, you can refer to table 3. We have the integrator, the parliamentarian, the educator, the solicitor, and the director. Okay, the integrator brings subordinate together for consensus decision making. Here, the task is to reconcile divergent opinions and position. The aim is to gain consensus. Number 2, parliamentarian. The function is to promote open discussion by protecting the opinions of the minority and lead participants through a democratic process to gain decision. The educator reduces resistance to change by explaining and discussing with group members the opportunities and constraints of the decisional issues. Here, the aim is to seek acceptance of decision. Solicitor seek advice from subordinate expert. The quality of the decision is improved as the administrator guides the generations of relevant information. The aim is to improve quality of decision. Okay, the last one is the director. Makes unilateral decision in those instances where the subordinate have no expertise or personal stake. The goal is to achieve efficiency. Okay, that's all from me. I will pass to my next group member. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Sister Shazlina. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Hashima and I will continue with developing teachers for decision making. Actually, not all teachers want to be involved in decisions. In fact, some teachers are quite comfortable leaving all the major decisions to the administrators. Others want to be involved in every decision. Most teachers are somewhere between these extremes. A healthy perspective is one in which teachers want to be involved in decisions when they can make a contribution. Here are a few guidelines for preparing teachers for shared decision making. First, develop a culture that focuses on the goals of the schools. The students must come first. Second, be authentic with teachers means that you tell the truth what is going on around. Third, develop a culture of trust means that principals and teachers need to trust each other. Fourth, if teachers' expertise is lacking, make sure the teachers develop knowledge in those areas. Send them to course or something like that. Fifth, don't burden teachers with unimportant decisions. Sixth, don't give decision authority you don't have. Seventh, don't engage teachers in shared decision making until they are ready. Eighth, the last one is, to be successful, teachers must have useful knowledge, be motivated to participate, and be willing to subordinate their personal agendas for the good of the school. Groupthink is an occurrence whereby a group comes to an unanimous decision about a possible action despite the existence of fact that points to another correct course of action. This term was first given by Irving Janis, who was a social psychologist. His main aim was to understand how a group of individuals came up with excellent decisions one time and totally messed up ones at another time. Although participation in decision-making can produce rampant conflict in the group, success in group problem solving often produces a strong cohesiveness, especially among members of smaller in-groups. Similarly, the situational context may nurture groupthink. High stress from external threats combined with little hope that the leader will advance a better solution pushes the group toward uncritical consensus. Furthermore, low self-esteem of the group temporarily induced by recent failures, excessive difficulties, and moral dilemmas. All these antecedent conditions promotes a tendency toward groupthink, which in turn produces the consequences of groupthink: overestimation, closed-mindedness, and pressure for anonymity. Such behavior undermines vigilance and ultimately produces defective decision-making and likely failure. For example, the NASA Challenger tragedy on 1986 and Iraq invasion on 2003. It was a wrong decision. Groupthink happens when people are afraid of the consequences of sharing their real thoughts and feelings. When this happens and people withhold their ideas, there is a danger that the decision won't be the best one or the most innovative or creative. It also indicates a low level of trust in the group and a fear of conflict. People start to feel that it's better to be quiet, go with the flow, and not challenge each other. A group decision-making in Islamic approach similar with concept of shura. In practical terms, a leader or decision-maker will make an important decision only after consultation with a council. In Al-Quran, Surah Ash-Shura, verse 38, Allah said, "Who conduct their affairs by consultation and spend out of what we have bestowed upon them." In a hadith related to shura, Ali radiallahu anhu asked, "O Prophet, if we have a matter in which we do not find a command or prohibition, then what is your advice?" He said, "Consult the righteous wise people and do not depend upon individual opinion." Hadith Tabrani. In conclusion, Vroom's model of shared decision-making is based upon 8 questions. In brief, the model has potential, but it is a little too complex for routine use. What leaders need are useful models they can remember and use easily. The HAIRUDDIN model is a simplified model of shared decision-making that addresses when, how, and the extent of their participation in decisions. The key is matching the right leadership style with the appropriate situation to empower teachers. Actually, both models are designed to empower teachers, to enhance acceptance of decisions, and to improve the quality of decisions. So teachers, choose which models you prefer most and suitable with. That's all from our group. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for listening.